Confused where to start? UPSC. One decision can change everything.
Like to thank Wajiram and Ravi.
The Wajiram current affairs test series.
Wajiram का भी काफी help.
Wajiram is the best.
But Wajiram, it is something holistic.
It helped me in boosting my confidence.
Structured learning expert. Mentorship in latest results, top 10 out of 10 from Wajiram. Legacy of AIR 1. Trust. One name. Wajiram and Ravi.
Hello everyone, my name is Shruti R. I'm from Coimbatore, Tamil Nadu. This year UPSC CSE, I'm at 18 and my optional is Sociology. In this video, we'll discuss about the Sociology optional. So I come from an engineering background. I did ECE. So when I wanted to opt for an optional, I searched for an engineering optional. It was very difficult. So I thought I'll go for something that I find interesting. So at last I came to two optionals, Sociology and Anthropology. And then I analyzed the syllabus. And after analyzing the syllabus, I found Sociology interesting and I thought I'll read it. So I chose Sociology. When one wants to decide what optional needs to be done, then I think you need to keep in mind the interest that you'll have. In your mains preparation, you want to read whole day. Half a day or more, you need to dedicate it for the optional alone. So you need to have interest in the optional to read it a lot of time and to have dedicate more time. To do so much of time, you need to have interest in the optional. So try reading the syllabus and try seeing various optionals, various videos, and which you find interesting, then you go for that optional. And for the classes, I did my foundation of Sociology in Wajiram Mahapatra sir. And after the 1 year of coaching, I did the answers and the test series part in Karma Yogi IAS, which is a Telegram channel. There I took the Sociology mentorship for a year and I wrote tests. And for this attempt, I was associated with the Non-Mudalvan scheme of Tamil Nadu. So here, I took coaching from Shankar IAS, Rajitaman. So from different institutes I took. And this year, what I did for the Sociology was the last two attempts, which I couldn't pass. So this was my third attempt, my first means. Beforehand, I was ready of the optional. So paper 1 and paper 2, both I tried to have notes and I completely revised and everything was done of the optional. So when I couldn't clear the prelims, what I used to do in a day is taking a whole day, I'll dedicate half a day. I'll get early in the morning, around 4:30 or 5:30. I'll revise what is done in the previous day and half a day I'll dedicate it exclusively for the optional because optional is having a weightage of 500 marks. So we need to focus on optional, which will give an edge to us. So I used to dedicate half a day for the optional and then I used to do the mains part. When doing the optional, after completing the classes were very interesting. But once when it came for me to learn, it was very difficult. Coming from an engineering background, I couldn't write even the answers properly. I used to write static answers. Whatever I have read, I used to just write it line by line. Then it took lot of time to complete the answers. So the resources that I followed were, one was the class notes and the second I went for the IGNOU. For the thinkers topic, the IGNOU had very basic understanding and explanation. So I did not have much of sociological background. So I relied on the IGNOU to do the basic thinkers part. And the third important resource that I followed was a topper's copy. The topper name was Tushantu. So his notes I used for paper 1 and 2. What I did, I had the Tushantu sir's notes, the IGNOU for the thinkers and my class notes. I read it twice or thrice. Then what I did was for each topic, I had notes of it. So what I used to do, when the thinkers part comes, I used to box it. So when you read it, visually you know the thinkers are important. So the same I reflected in answer writing. When writing answers, I used to box the thinkers. So it is highlighted. So whatever I needs to highlight, I'll just try to box it. That was what I was doing. I did not read the Essentials of Sociology, which is a book that everyone reads. What I mean to say is, whatever resource you read, you need to trust your source and trust your preparation. Shouldn't go that others are recommending you shouldn't read a book. You will have your own strategy and it will work once if you put effort and you do your hard work. So if you think your strategy is right, you need to continue in that. Don't go for shifting of books or going for multiple resources where you couldn't recall it and revise it. That would be counterproductive. And for the current affairs part in the sociology, I referred some Telegram channels. The Karmayogi IAS, he had the Sociology Academia channel, where everyday current affairs they used to feed some different topics, some different current sociological analysis that helped me. And I used to read newspapers where sometimes they give a sociological column, and every day the Sunday there used to be some sociological articles. So that will be helpful for you to write the answers. For example, when you're going to write about patriarchy, in newspaper I read the concept of patriarchal bargaining. I used to reflect it in the answer writing. That helped me a lot. So when it comes to preparing the sociology notes, what I did was started preparing paper 1 after the first attempt. So after the first attempt, the time was left, I completely did the paper 1, and the second attempt when it was left, I completely did the paper 2. While doing it, I had which was to be given more importance. You need to analyze the PYQs before. So once if you analyze the PYQs, you will know which topic or unit is more important. So you need to start doing it, and later the less important or the less dynamic topics. When it comes to paper 1, the first important topic that you need to do would be the thinkers, the chapter 4. After doing thinkers needs to be done thoroughly, because that is going to give you the base for the sociological idea. So these thinkers, even though every year the number of questions keep on changing, in every answer that they are going to give out of box, you will be able to use these thinkers. So do the thinkers topic in detail and with thorough, the chapter 4. After doing the chapter 4, you will come to the stratification, which will have similar the thinkers and their ideas of stratification and other things. That needs to be done second. And the next I would go for unit 2 and unit 3, research and methodology and sociology as a science. It will have some static part, the unit 3. So if you are a person who can understand the static part very well, then the unit 3 questions that is getting reflected in the mains would be easy for you to attend. So I'll go for unit 2, unit 3, and then I'll go for the kinship, marriage and family and religion. All those things will have a relation with paper 1 and 2. When you do such topics, you will have a tendency to mix it up. One thing that we can do, the topics from the paper 2 can get reflected in paper 1. But we cannot use the paper 1 topics in the paper 2. So the paper 2 is exclusively for the Indian thinkers, the Indian idea. So there we can't use it. But when it comes to paper 1 and there is a very good thinker in the paper 2 who have set some new ideas, then you can use it in the paper 1 itself. So the next would be the religion and the other part. And after coming to that, you can do the rest of the topics. The politics and society, work life and other things, the other topics. So this will be for the paper 1. So next we will go for the paper 2. When it comes to paper 2, the first that you will give importance is the A1 and 2 topic, where you will read about the Indian thinkers, the national movement and other things. This will set a base for the Indian ideas and the Indian study approach that you will further learn in different things. So if you are preparing paper 2 very well, it will give you an edge, because paper 1 is more or less static and your creation cannot have much in the paper 1. But when it comes to paper 2, there are too many Indian thinkers and you can provide differentiation and variation in your answer when you prepare the paper 2 well. In my case, I prepared paper 2 very well, and I think I had an advantage in the paper 2 where I had more number of concepts and other things prepared well in advance. So that helped me in giving the paper 2. So paper 2, you do the thinkers part first. That will give you a base for the paper 2. Second, what you will focus is on caste, tribes, kinship and the religion. The kinship and religion will have a correlation with the paper 1, and the caste, tribe, kinship and religion, all these things you will do next. And after that, you will do the urbanization and industrialization and the middle class, those questions and the rest of the topics. So you need to go for the PYQ and try to analyze which topics is having more of weightage in the last 5 years. So try for prioritizing those things in the first, and then the easy or less important topics in the back side. So when it comes to answer writing, initially as I have said, after completing the classes, I thought I would write better answers. But once I started writing answers, I started writing not after completing the whole paper. I thought I need to start it before. So after completing a topic, I thought I'll write the answer. You shouldn't wait till the end to start your answer writing. Don't think I'll complete this subject completely and then start answer writing. It will be too late at that time. So you complete a topic, then you give an answer. Even though if it's not getting evaluated, even if it's getting a negative feedback, don't worry about it. Start writing the answers and later you can improve it. So once when I started writing the answers, I started from the thinkers topics as I've said. When I wrote the answers, they were not that relevant. They were very basic, and whatsoever the question asks, I used to write whatever I know. So I just wrote what I know instead of addressing the demand of the question. So that's how my answer writing started. But you need to rigorously follow answer writing. At least in my case, it was the norm. So I was rigorously writing everyday answers for sociology. I was not that sure, coming from an engineering, would my answer be very good? Would it be sociological? So I had that fear that my sociology answer would not be great. So every day I used to practice writing answers. That was mandatory in my case. Every day I complete a topic, I write the answers. So slowly what I started to do to change in answer writing is I started analyzing the topper copies. So in topper copies, what you will get is very good examples, very good ideas, and how to use the thinkers and other things. So I will take things from that. I used to write it in my notes, and what I started doing in my answer writing is to have a diverse approach. When a question comes, I will think how to analyze it, and I had very limited notes, and I tried to use it, maximize the resources, like maximize the output of the resources that I had. So I had very little notes, but all the little notes that I had, I tried incorporating in my answers, which were relevant. And I tried innovating with diagrams. For thinkers, I had my own diagrams that I used to draw, and those things helped me a lot. So when it comes to writing the examples, what I did in my case was I was not able to write the answers that the thinkers were saying. For example, for suicide, I did not write the thinker's answer. Instead, I used to write some examples that were very general, that I knew, that I read in newspaper, that were in current affairs. So that's that kind of things that I did in my answer. And also, as I've earlier said, for each thinker, when I write a thinker, I used to box it up. I did not have a fixed use of thinkers. Like some used to say, for each question, you need to give 4 or 5 thinkers for a 10 marker. And for when it comes to a longer question, you go for a 10 thinkers. That kind of thing I never followed. I used to write when the thinkers were relevant. I used to write example when they were relevant. And the brainstorming part was very important. So you need to think from a different perspective and then start writing the answer. That helped me a lot. And in writing the answer, you need to practice it a lot, so you will get a sociological answer. Initially, it might be general, but you need to practice it. And as I've said, I use diagrams for the thinkers and other answers where they were relevant. That all things I did. When you start writing answers, first you will focus on the PYQs, what is being asked in the PYQ. Then you need to understand how to address the demand of the question. So now let's take a question and I'll try to break it out. The question is, define patriarchy. Does it have a bearing on the woman's entitlements in the family? So when you give an intro, you give an intro about what is patriarchy. And the next question says, does it give how is it going to affect the entitlements of women? So you should try to think it in various perspectives. First, we'll talk about the economic aspect, where we can say the women are not given land rights and other things can be said. The second perspective would be decision making. They are not involved in the decision making in the family. That part can be said. And third, the rights. The women do not have rights. Those part can be said. So when you take a question, try to use it in multiple aspects so you will be able to address it. So, and the next thing what I'll do, I'll say the changing conditions. Currently, what is happening? I did not follow a rigid approach while writing answers. When I could write in the pointed format, I wrote in pointed format. When I had 4 or 5 points which I can write, and I was not so strict that 2-3 lines only the answer. I needed to explain what I wanted to say. So even if it takes 4 lines or it takes 1 line, even if the example is a big or a small, I just did justice to what I wanted to say. So I used to write in point format. And if some questions I feel they need to be written in a paragraph format, I did not hesitate. So if I wanted to say such a big thing, so now I wanted to say how the situation is going to change in the patriarchy with women empowerment and the economical change and everything is happening, I try to explain it in a paragraph format. Even I used to draw diagrams, and in the conclusion, I'll provide a gist. Even though the patriarchy is declining, there needs to come an ideological change where people accept women as equal. So that kind of conclusion I used to do. So if you take a question, try analyzing it and try to understand the demand of the question and answer it. So it will be, the marks will be rewarded a little bit higher. So before going to the exam, if you're going to give the mains this year, the important thing when it comes to sociology that I followed rigorously was having my notes. So I used to revise those notes. For each topic, I had like 4 to 5 pages, or because I used to write in small font for my understanding, I used to have those notes. And I used to keep on revise those notes again and again. And key thinkers, I had it in my mind. So today is the exam. Now we are going to sit in the exam hall. What I used to, I closed my eyes and I had 20 to 30 thinkers that I need to revise it. So example, let's take social capital, liquid labor. So there is the circuit theory and other things. So such topics, I had those thinkers to be remembered and recalled again and again. So what I did when the question paper comes. So now you are receiving the question paper. The important first thing that you need to do is choose the right question. So some will be very good at having an application layer. So application part of question, they can address it very well. Some would be having positive aspect in the static part. So choosing the question plays a very important role when you receive the question paper. So once the question paper comes, I'll skim all the 8 questions that I had. So I'll choose the questions. Once if I choose the question, I have already remembered some thinkers before the question paper arrived. So I must keep on recalling it. So what I'll do, I'll see the question. If I remember a relevant thinker, so I'll just write in the question paper. I used to write some Immanuel Kant. So if you think for that question, Max Weber will be relevant or Karl Marx will be relevant, whosoever is relevant, I used to keep on like a short note, I will write in the question paper because I have a tendency to write what I think. So I will forget at that time. So I make sure I write in the question paper itself. And for me, I was good at the application part. So I did not choose for static subject. When it comes to paper 1, I was not strong at unit 2 and 3. So that was a little bit weaker section for me. I can write the application part very well. So this year what I did, I took the SDG question. So the Sustainable Development Goals. They asked me to analyze the sociologically. That was a 15 marker. I took the risk and I wrote the question. So it's up to you. If you are strong in the application part, you can go for this type of questions. If you have an edge in the static part, then you should go for those kind of questions. That will be really helpful. And when writing sociological answers, you need to have sociological keywords when writing the answers. For example, you say social effervescence, social cohesion, and so those kind of keywords needs to be given in an answer when it is relevant. So family, when it comes, it's playing a latency role. So what is the question demanding? You should have a sociological term so your answer looks sociological. So many people say when they write the answer is looking very general. It's because you don't apply the sociological words. For this, what I did was, this was recommended by my sir, Mahapatra sir. So what I used to do, I had the Oxford dictionary, sociological dictionary. In that, I used to have the sociological words. So I used to know the meanings and then I tried using that in my answer, which helped me. So that can be done, and also try to incorporate current affairs if possible from the newspapers, some theories, some topics that can be done. Don't try to dump the thinkers, might not look good. Try writing thinkers which are relevant. So understand the thinkers. If it is needed in the question, then go for it. If the question is not demanding thinkers, writing it might look very irrelevant. So the answer should be sociological, but not with dump of thinkers. That needs to be worked by you when you are starting to write answers. So I will try sharing my sociological notes in the Telegram channel that I am about to create. That channel, I will share all my sociological notes which can be helpful for the optional aspirants.